Has this ever happened to you? You're just out here trying to play your fun synchro deck, seeing if you can get some nice games in on ranked, and your opponent is going first. They're playing Salamangrates, or Odd Eyes, or Rocket, or Raid Raptor, or Onamet, or Magistus, or Fish, or Harpies, Six Samurai, Crystal Beast, Block Dragon, Super Heavy Samurai, Abyss Actors, Blackwings, Ignite, Gearfried, Trains, or any other deck that can summon Steel Swarm Roach, and you just gotta sit there and pray to the Egyptian gods that you can top deck a book or a chalice, because if you don't, a single rank 4 is gonna negate your whole mechanic twice in the same turn? How come Xyz decks get to just so easily turn off a whole mechanic? They're gonna negate high level pendulum summons too. Where is the justice? What can we do?
I have come to save you all, wielders of synchros. Summon me, and Xyz and Link monsters will no longer bother you. Come, join the Ursarctic revolution.
Hey guys, welcome back to Team 6K. Today we are going to be talking about Ursarctic. Before we get into the video though, be sure to check out our last video if you haven't already. Join our Discord link in the description and follow us on Twitch to catch Weatherman and I streaming on Saturday nights. So if you've been playing Duel Links for a while, you'll know that the synchro mechanic for the most part has had it pretty rough, with a couple of exceptions either gain an insane amount of card advantage or just cheat the mechanic by some method or another. Duel Links got Floodgate, Trap Hole, and Paleozoic Canadia before synchros even came out. These cards hitting a synchro material before a synchro would be able to come out has really hindered synchros from the jump. And in the TCG they didn't really have to deal with this type of interruption because during the synchro era in the TCG they only had Book of Moon to flip something this way, and that was only limited to 1 copy per deck in a 40 card deck. We Duel Links synchro players, we really have been through the ringer. We've been through a lot. Almost just as soon as the Xyz mechanic arrived, they got Steel Swarm Roach, meaning any deck that could put 2 level 4s on the field could just hard counter our entire mechanic. Just Book or Chalice it. Yeah bro. Just draw the unsearchable out. Sure man, I'll try to remember that next time I'm looking at my bookless and chaliceless hand. All that pain everybody has been able to easily inflict on synchros, we can finally do it back to them with Ursarctic Septentrion. This guy has a continuous effect that will negate any monster that doesn't have a level and was summoned from the extra deck. The only monsters in the game that don't have levels are Xyz monsters and Link monsters. Septentrion is Jinzo for things without levels. Let that sink in.
I'm not finished.
If your opponent special summons a monster, you get to search for any Ursarctic card, monster, spell, or trap. The fact that this guy searches something when the opponent special summons something is actually insane, but I'll tell you more about that later. First, we gotta focus on getting this guy out in the first place. The Ursarctic synchro monsters can't actually be synchro summoned normally. Instead, they have an alternate summoning condition that is comparable to dark synchro summoning in the 5Ds anime. Instead of adding the levels of your tuner and non-tuner to equal 7, you need to minus the levels of your tuner and non-tuner to equal 7. The tuner does have to be higher level than the non-tuner though, so basically you want to use a level 8 tuner and a level 1 non-tuner because 8 minus 1 equals 7, so we can go into Septentrion. The only level 1 we have though is also a synchro. He's a bit shy though, so be nice guys. Here comes the one and only level 1 synchro ever made, Ursarctic Polari. Since the Ursarctic synchros have to be dark synchro summons, you're gonna need a level 8 and a level 7. But if you wanted to, you could use Deep Sea Diva to summon a level 1 non-tuner from the deck, and then those two could go into this guy. The only reason I don't want to use that engine is first of all that I don't want to have to build my deck to rely on something that I won't always have, and also that I don't want to have the chance to brick on that engine. So we know that we need to go into this guy in order to get into our Septentrion, but his effects won't make the most sense until after we've talked about how we get him on the field in the first place. So in this deck we are going to use a level 7 and a level 8, and as you can see our whole deck is full of level 7 non-tuners and level 8 tuners. All of them have a quick effect during the main phase from your hand that lets you tribute a level 7 or higher monster from our hand in order to special summon themselves. The level 7s each have effects that will trigger when they are special summoned, and the level 8s each have effects that will trigger when they are special summoned when you already have an Ursarctic on the field. The level 7s on summon effects all support your own game plan, and the level 8s on summon effects all try to harm the opponent's game plan. The fact that we have to tribute other monsters from the hand is going to mean that in order to summon 2 monsters from our hand in this way, it's going to cost 4 monsters in total. That is undeniably a pretty bad deal, to be honest. If you are watching this video because you're looking for this deck's weakness, because you're an Xyz or Link player that's trying not to lose to this deck, this is the weakness that you could very well exploit. It takes a lot of card advantage to get this deck's play started, so if your deck has a way to punish your opponent for that, then you're going to be golden. But if you can't punish them, oh, it is over, bro. Everything this deck has to do to get its play started is rewarded by some of the best payoffs an archetype could ever ask for. Once you get your level 8 tuner and level 7 non-tuner, you dark synchro summon your Polari. And this guy's more than just a material for Septentrion. When Polari is summoned, he activates your field spell Big Dipper right from the deck right away. When Big Dipper is on the field, you can banish an Ursarctic from grave instead of tributing a monster to use an effect. You can only do that once per turn. So that heavy cost of summoning any of your Ursarctics doesn't matter anymore, because now you can do it for free by banishing from the grave once per turn. Don't forget though that the Ursarctic effects to summon themselves from the hand are all quick effects too, so we can do it on the opponent's turn. The Big Dipper field spell also gets a counter every time a monster is special summoned, and then if you have an Ursarctic synchro on the field, when the 7th counter is put on the field spell, you remove all counters from the field spell to steal one of your opponent's monsters. This isn't an optional effect though, so the opponent might find a way to play around it, but there's really not many good ways to play around somebody yoinking your monster in the middle of your combo, or even in the middle of their own combo. So back to Polari. He actually does more after giving you this awesome field spell. You contribute a level 7 or higher monster to revive any Ursarctic monster. Alongside the field spell letting you banish from grave instead of tributing monsters, you can resummon a level 8 tuner from your grave basically for free. Now you have your level 8 tuner on the field and your level 1 non-tuner. Now we can dark synchro summon Ursarctic Septentrion. We can lock the opponent's links and exceeds out of their effects, and if they want to special summon anything, we can search for any Ursarctic card. Being able to search any Ursarctic card when the opponent special summons is actually going to give you an interruption the majority of the time, because the level 8 tuners in your deck can act as hand traps to stop the opponent's plays. If you use their quick effects to summon themselves from the hand, they have an on-summon effect that triggers if you control another Ursarctic, which you will, because you will still have the Septentrion on the field. And with the field spell on the field, you'll be able to banish from grave instead of tributing from hand in order to summon them. We have 3 different tuners with 3 different interruptive effects, so we can search for the one we think we will need once we see what deck our opponent is playing, which of course we will know once they begin special summoning, since that's how we got that Septentrion search in the first place. First up we have Megatanus. On summon, this guy is Book of Moon. He will flip an opponent's monster down so they can't use their ignition effects or be used for synchro exceed or link material. This one is going to be the most versatile in the most matchups, since Book is such a good card against the majority of decks, and will be able to help turn off the things that Septentrion doesn't turn off. Next is Megapolar. On summon, this guy's MST. He will destroy one of the opponent's back row. If the opponent isn't really doing much with their monsters and they're relying on back row, you can summon this guy before the end of their main phase, so they can't hurt you so much with that back row when it's your turn again. The last choice we have is Megabilis. On summon, this guy is DD Crow, just banishing any one card from the opponent's grave. There's really a lot of graveyard based strategies in the game, but at the same time there's a decent amount of decks that something like DD Crow isn't that good against, so the fact that this deck can search this guy instead of needing to max out on it to draw it is fantastic. If we need it, we can search for it, and if we don't need it, we can either not search for it, we can just use it as tribute fodder or synchro material. So this deck basically searches its own Book of Moon, MST, and DD Crow, all of which have pretty respectable attack stats too, so they could protect your life points and potentially be used on your follow-up for more synchro play. On your follow-up, since you already have a level 8 tuner on the field from interrupting the opponent, all you'll need to get after that is a level 7 non-tuner. Using the field spell, you can also banish something from grave to summon that non-tuner. Then 8 minus 7 is 1, you can go into your next copy of Polari, which can resummon a level 8 tuner, so you can go into your board breaking synchro. 8 minus 1 equals 7, dark synchro summon Ursarctic Grand Chariot. On summon, this guy will target to destroy 2 cards on the field, and getting rid of 2 cards is a really big deal. It's going to be very difficult not to win on the turn that you summon this guy. And if your opponent wants to chain a back row or something to target this or one of your other Ursarctic cards, you contribute any monster from your hand or fields to negate that card's activation. And if you haven't banished from the grave with the field spell yet, you could banish from graveyard instead. This deck just gives you so much, bro. But there are a couple of things we have to worry about here. Mainly, what if we don't have the right cards in hand to get our play started in the first place? I definitely feel like if a deck with a game plan like this had some searchers, the deck would be able to pop off super consistently and be a real force in the meta. Man, what a pain. It'd be so nice if this deck had a searcher, you know? If we did, man, I'd put 3 copies of it in my deck, no matter what, to make sure I'd always be able to search. Wait a minute. Guys, check this out. Odd Eyes players have been playing a card called Pendulum Call. It lets them discard a card to search for 2 cards from their archetype. And it gives them the bonus of protecting their scales from destruction. That's some really amazing consistency, man, but this card is a hard once per turn. You're all members of Team 6K, bro. I'm not gonna lie to my team. There are people that are going to tell you not to play 3 copies of a card that searches the card you need to get your plays going. Don't listen to them. They're lying to you. They're lying to themselves. They don't want you to win, bro. I want you to win. I want you to send people back to Fortnite. I want you to play all 3 copies of Ursarctic Departure. This card is this archetype's version of Pendulum Call, letting you discard a card to search 2 monsters, but it's also got a fantastic grave effect on the turns after it was sent to the grave. Instead of tributing a monster to activate an Ursarctic effect in hand, you can banish it from the grave. This is a nice way to get more than one free activation on top of the one that you get from the field spell, and the fact that your Ursarctics are quick effects means that you'll be able to banish this spell from the grave on the opponent's turn right after you set up your board, or you could save it for your follow-up play to make your board breaking plays easier. If you're really worried about opening more than one, well, I'd love to open 2. I'll just use 1 to discard the other, and then I'll have 2 to banish from grave to make my summons free. So using Departure to get any 2 Ursarctics is absolutely fantastic, but you know, having to tribute monsters in the opening play is still a pretty rough minus, and you might not even have all of the monsters necessary to get those tributes going. That's where our other searcher comes in.
What did you say?
Yes, you heard me right, this deck has even more searching. So we have a level 7 that on summon will search for any Ursarctic monster. This could be great for getting the tuner you need or getting the tribute fodder you need to get into your Polari play. We want to play 3 copies of this because of course consistency is key, and blessing is a great way to mitigate the downside of this deck's opening play. There are a couple of other non-tuners we can search for utility purposes. They aren't going to be mandatory for the main plays, however their on summon effects are going to be quite nice in certain situations, so being able to search for them will be great. One of them is Mikbilis. On summon, this one will summon an Ursarctic from hand, so you can get a tuner on the field without having to worry about tributing something to summon that tuner. The other one is Miktanis. This one on summon will add an Ursarctic from grave back to hand. This can be great for recursion and can also potentially give you some more tribute fodder for another Ursarctic summon. So once this deck gets its play started, of course we are going to be popping off, and all the effort we went through to get the plays started will feel validated. But as we can see, the deck does have a decent amount of ways to alleviate the downsides of the opening play. There is a card in this deck though that if we happen to open it, can make us feel like there's no downside in this deck whatsoever. Our continuous spell Ursarctic Radiation. On activation we'll get 7 counters, and every time an Ursarctic is summoned you can remove a counter to draw a card. The very bare minimum play of the deck summons 5 times, so that would mean that we'd be drawing 5 cards. But it isn't outside of the realm of possibility for us to actually draw all 7 cards in one turn, because all of the cards we will be drawing will probably allow us to get more plays off too. And on end phase, this can also shuffle back an Ursarctic card from grave. Pretty nice for the long game. The one weakness of this card is that while it is obviously powerful, the only card that can search for it is Septentrion, who relies on the opponent summoning things. So generally, we're only going to have this if we draw it. That doesn't mean we wouldn't play it though. Its power is too good not to play. The way I think about it is, I'd like to use my Septentrion search on the opponent's turn on one of the interruptive Ursarctics. And if I had either Radiation or Departure in my hand, then I'll have been able to get the right amount of advantage to be able to activate that searched Ursarctic easily, with cards drawn from Radiation or from the grave effect of Departure. The skill I'm using here is an idea I got from I'm Dishonorable on Duel Links meta, and it is Thunder, Water, and Wind. You can activate it if your life points decrease by 1,000, and you randomly add a Sanga of the Thunder, Kazajin, or Suijin to your hand from outside of the deck, and you can only use it once per duel. We can trigger this skill by activating Cosmic Cyclone or by taking a damage from the opponent, and simply getting a free level 7 in hand is going to be a nice way to get our Ursarctic summon effects going, because all they require in order to activate themselves is to tribute a level 7 or higher, and with these 3 monsters being level 7, we can kind of get double utility out of a Cosmic Cyclone, it being both back row removal and a free summon of an Ursarctic. You can definitely experiment with other skills if you like, but I feel like this idea is so good that we just gotta play it. If the community catches on to our Ursarctic spice, this skill might even get nerfed. Paradox Brothers have a knack for getting skills nerfed, you know. This deck is very consistent and only really has one combo, and many ways to do that combo. In a way, this can be considered like Black Wings. You do what you can with what you've got, but just like Black Wings, it often ends the same way, and if you have more, you can simply just do more of the same. But let's just get into that combo tutorial, shall we? Okay, so the deck only really has one combo, and basically the way that you get there is by getting a non-tuner and a tuner on the field. And of course, that's often going to require, you know, the tuner and the non-tuner, and a couple of things to tribute in order to summon them. But of course, like I said in the explanation, you can search for them using McPolar and using Departure, so it's not that big of a deal. I happen to have a couple of Departure here, and you know, some people might be in the comments like, oh, well that's why you don't play 3 Departure. Bro, I'm cool with having 2 Departure, bro. If you want consistency, you play the maximum copies of the consistency cards, and that is just standard deck building logic. Plus, I'm actually okay with having 2 departure because it gives me more free summons in the long game. It is going to ask me to change something, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to search for stuff here. Basically, if I don't have a Mech Polar in hand, I will search the Mech Polar every time because it is a plus when it summons. I already have a Mech Polar, so I'm not going to do that. I also have a tuner already, and I have another non-tuner that I could use as tribute fodder. I'm going to search another tuner here to potentially add back later using the Mectanus. I'm also going to search the Mectanus. The first thing I'm going to summon, if possible, is always going to be the Mech Polar, and I'm going to tribute something I don't necessarily have to care about. So in this case, I'm just going to discard the Megatanus, summon itself, and on summon we'll search any Ursarctic monster. We pretty much have the things we want already, just search for what you want. I'm going to search the DD Crow one here. So now we have our non-tuner on the field. It is time to get a tuner on the field. Use whatever tuner, it doesn't really matter that deeply. I'm going to summon the Mega Bowler. I'm going to tribute the Micbilus. I tend to summon the level 7s in defense mode because they have higher defense, and the level 8s in attack mode because they have higher attack, just in case. Then we can use those two to Dark Synchro Summon into our Ursarctic Polari. I can use the Ursarctic Polari's effect immediately to get that field spell on the field, and damn, now we're gaming. The next part of the combo, awesome. Then I can basically, because of the field spell, instead of having to tribute a monster with Polari, I can banish something from grave. I tend to banish Mech Polar because in my deck it is the only Ursarctic that I play 3 copies of, so I'm not going to miss it if I banish it, you know what I mean? I might want to add one of these back later, but Mech Polar, I can always just get another one from the deck. So I'm going to banish that one, resummon one of the tuners from grave, so I'll just resummon Megatanus or Mega Polar. It is worth noting that if the opponent has a valid target for one of their effects, being special summoned by the effect of Polari will still let them trigger. So I'll just summon the Mega Polar here. It'll ask you, you say yes. And if an Ursarctic is special summoned when the Big Dipper's on the field, of course, it is going to get a counter, as you can see here. When it reaches 7, immediately it takes one of your opponent's monsters. You don't get to choose when it activates, it's just as soon as it hits the 7 mark. But anyway, we're going to use our level 1 non-tuner and our level 8 tuner to Dark Synchro Summon into whatever level 7 we feel is most relevant. So if you want to destroy 2 cards, you go into Grand Chariot. Also, the Grand Chariot can tribute a monster from hand, field, or grave if you have the Big Dipper on the field to negate and destroy a card that tries to target an Ursarctic card. So that's a pretty nice little negation and protection effect. Normally though, I like to go into Ursarctic Septentrion against a Link or Xyz based deck. Also in general, against any deck, because if they special summon something, I can search for one of my tuners, right? So other than what is standard to the deck's plays, there are a couple things to keep in mind. Like for example, if you have one of your interruptive tuners that you want to use that is in the grave, and you have a departure in the grave, instead of searching for another copy of that same interruption with Septentrion, you could search for Mectanus, summon that with the field spell, then add back the tuner, then summon that tuner with the departure. And not only will you have the interruption still, but you'll also have all the materials on the field to go right into Polaris on your follow-up turn. It is also worth noting that if you have to choose between using the field spell to summon something freely and the departure to summon something freely, you should usually use the field spell first in case the opponent catches on and removes it before you can use it. It is more likely the opponent is going to have back row removal than graveyard removal. My extra deck here doesn't really have any spice in it, but you could really get away with 2 of each of these synchros if you wanted to put anything in there. But there's not likely going to be a reason to go into anything outside of the archetype here because the deck is just so self-sufficient. You can build the deck however you like. At the end of the day, I'm not here to show you how to build your deck, I'm here to show you how to play it. But I do advise that you build it like this. But anyway guys, let's get into the replay, shall we? So, it is the opponent going first. They're playing Harpies. They got the full combo here with Harpy Channeler summoning the Perfumer, getting that Harpies Feather Rest, then they can Synchro Summon into Cyber/Harpy Lady, draw a couple of cards with that Feather Rest real quick. I would like to mention that the Ursarctics, because of the fact that they are quick effects, they might let your opponent know that you're playing Ursarctics, so you might like to toggle off. If your hand is absolutely full of monsters, you could use a Mech Polar to summon itself, search an interruption, tribute another monster, summon itself, interrupt the opponent before you even have a turn. That is cool, however a lot of hands you're going to have spells because you want that consistency and that power, so you might as well turn the toggle off if your hand is not super monster heavy. So I turn my toggle off here. You know, he's got his back row here and his Cyber/Harpy Lady. I'm going to turn it off with a Cosmic Cyclone. The great thing about Cosmic Cyclone is not only does it get rid of back row, which is of course great, but also I get to activate the skill, of course, which I'm about to do here, which gives me randomly Sanga in this case. Then I do happen to open the Big Dipper. This is a one-off for this reason, because we are trying to activate it directly from the deck using the Polari. But if you happen to have it, that's okay. You can just activate it and you are going to get your 7 counters quicker. So I also happen to open the Departure, which is fantastic. I can discard the Sanga here, free discard fodder for that Cosmic, search a couple of things, then I can tribute a monster, go into the Polar, search for the Mectanus, and then I can summon the Megatanus, tributing the Mechbillis, and then flip him down, go into Polari, and Big Dipper, getting some counters of course. Megabliss, gonna banish something from his grave, then I can go into the Grand Chariot, destroy 2 of his cards, destroy his last remaining card. Harpies can't really do anything without targeting, so having this targeting negate is fantastic. Also having the Mectanus in my hand is almost just as good as having the search from the Septentrion, because I can summon it during their turn, add back one of my interruptions, right, and use it then. So he's gonna get his plays going. Elegant Egotist getting a 6 counter on here, meaning the next summon that happens lets me steal one of his monsters. So I'm going to use Mectanus, banishing the Departure, summon itself, 7 counters. I'm going to steal his Harpy. Mectanus is also going to add back the Book of Moon guy, so I can summon that one as well. And he's going to timer stall me. As you can see here, it says time limit win. This guy was salty, bro. So this guy, he's playing Raging Pendulum. You know what that means? He's playing Odd Eyes, which yes, is a Pendulum deck. Pendulum monsters do have levels, it's true. But you know, they only go into Xyz monsters, right? Xyz monsters are something I really don't care about. I happen to open the Radiation, must be nice to be me, and the Departure is going to get me the searches I need. I'm going to get myself a Mectanus and a Megatanus. I'm going to summon that Mech Polar, tributing the Megatanus. I'm going to draw a card as well from the Radiation, and I'm going to search a Mega Polar. Then Mega Polar is going to tribute the Mectanus from hand. Radiation is also going to draw me a card. I'm going to go into Polari, draw another card, and also activate my field spell directly from the deck. And we're off to the races. Polari is going to banish one from grave to resummon something. I'm going to Synchro Summon into Septentrion, the Prismatic Septentrion, by the way. I don't know if you noticed. I'm also going to draw a card, of course. And then, you know, on end phase, after setting my Cosmic, I'm going to put a Mectanus back in deck so I can search it with a Septentrion if they want to special summon anything. I think that he knows what Septentrion does. He's trying to bait me out here. I'm not having it though. So he's going to get his searches off, of course, the exact searches he needs. He's going to activate Skullcrobat Joker to get another search. Fantastic. There's a lot of searches, bro. 5 cards in hand. He's going to activate his Dragon Pulse Magician, which can discard a Pendulum monster to target a card on the field, destroy it. I'm not letting that happen. I'm Cosmic Cycloning it right off the bat. I don't care. He's going to activate Dragon Pit. And on end phase, yeah, he goes right to the end phase. Maybe he didn't have the scales. No, he definitely had the scales, bro. He just knows that nothing he can do can get rid of Septentrion. And he knows that if he special summon, I'm only getting searches, and it's only gonna get worse for him. So, oh bro, he thought it was the end. I'm getting something back. It's my turn again. I activate my another copy of Departure, discarding a Departure. Fantastic. A whole grip again. Oh my goodness, Mechpolar is going to banish a Departure to summon itself. I'm going to draw a card as well from the Radiation. My goodness, look at all these pluses. Look at how tiny my deck is looking right now. And look at how huge my hand is. Megalbillis is going to summon itself. He's just going to scoop it up. He's not having it, bro. So when I saw this guy's character, I was under the assumption that he might be playing Time Lords, but then I saw his extra deck. I was like, oh, an extra deck. Word, so you're not a filthy Time Lord player. So I'm going to keep playing. So I got that Departure. Hell yeah, discard Departure. I love that. Mechpolar is going to summon itself, get that search off. As you can see, it's the exact same thing every time. Doesn't even matter what names you have, as long as you're able to get a tuner or non-tuner on the field. Polari is going to resummon something, banishing one from grave as cost. Then I can go into my Prismatic Septentrion. He can't deal with it. And I also have the Mectanus in hand as an interruption. So there's that. Linkaribo. Cool, I don't care. It is a Link monster at the end of the day, and it's a special summon. I get to search for Megabillis, which is a DD Crow. Quite nice against something like Orcust. Brass Bombard is going to summon a Harp Horror. I don't care. He goes into his Galatea. Oh no, Galatea. Huh. What level is Galatea, guys? What level is Galatea? Oh, he doesn't have a level. Oh no. Link monsters don't work here, buddy. Get out of here. Anyway, Megabillis is going to summon itself. I'm also going to banish from grave, get rid of one of the cards from his grave, that being a Heart Horror. He's going to chain his Galatea. Oh no, get negated. And then he goes into Dingirsu, which puts a 7th counter on my field spell. What does that mean? Oh, that's my Dingirsu, fella. Oh, yoink. Thank you very much. You fool, you should not have done that shit, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So he does set a back row. I am going to, you know, use Departure to summon the Mectanius, which is, you know, going to add back the Mega Polar here. I'm going to go into Polari, Big Dipper, get back the Megabilis. I'm trying to go for a play here. He has Needle Sealing to get rid of my whole field, but I happen to know that because of the amount that I harmed him last turn, he cannot possibly have a follow-up play. So get shit on, buddy. So yeah, my whole field gets destroyed. Oh no. Anyway, I summon Megapolar. I set Cosmic Cyclone and I attack in. All right, what you got for me, buddy? Draw Sense Spell Trap. Oh, it wasn't what you needed. It wasn't what you needed. Get wrecked. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, this might be my favorite deck to have ever come out in Duel Links. This deck is so amazing. Synchrons is still the deck that is closest to my heart, but in terms of gameplay, this deck is just so fun and so good. I've seen some people talking about this deck, oh, it's not actually that good, and really, bro, I'm not trying to hear it. This deck is the real deal, dude. If you build this deck and learn how to play it, you're going to be clapping cheeks. Don't make bad deck building decisions like playing less than 3 Departure, bro. Play it like this and beat everybody up. But yeah, guys, let me know how you feel about the deck. If you have any questions about how the deck operates or about the deck in general, be sure to leave them in the comments or in the Discord and we can talk about it. If you like the video, subscribe if you're new around here. Have yourselves a good weekend, and this is Undead from Team 6K signing out.
Hey, why they gotta hate on me? I done got me 250,000 views and they still saying they low key. They ain't wanna come work with the kid, but I'm flexing with Zay on beats. How they ask for a spot at the gym, but they leave all the weight on me. I don't ask them to wait on me. They would ask where they gon' be with a song if they wanted the weatherman. I ain't asking to pay no fees. She was homeless and needed a spot. I ain't ask her to pay no lease. I ain't ask her to say no please. I ain't ask her to make no cheese. Scream fake, but it ain't on me. Got clean so it ain't no streets. Why green if it ain't no keeps? Brought cream so it ain't no beef. My team say it ain't no chief. My demon they hang on me. They seemingly ain't no peace. I seen him, he ain't no beast. For